Welcome back to the channel, and for today's video we're going over one of my favorite stocks out there right now, not only for the short term but for the long term. AMD, Advanced Micro Devices. This one is not only fun to trade, but it's great to invest into for the long term. And guys, yesterday we reported earnings with AMD. The stock dropped from $98 into after hours down to $93, stabling out until this morning. The stock jumped from $98, rallied throughout the whole entire day up to $108, finished at almost 10% up on the day. Now, first off, let's just talk about earnings with AMD and kind of dive into this a little bit more. Now, as we pull up some of these numbers, let's start off with our earnings per share and revenue. Earnings per share in quarter three for AMD was 70 cents and revenue was $5.8 billion, and the analysts projected 68 cents and revenue of $5.7 billion. So it was a win-win on both sides. Not a major win by any means. It was small margins out there, but still snuck away with positive growth both on earnings per share and overall revenue. Now, moving ahead, I do like to see $6.1 billion as the projection that AMD wants to achieve in quarter four. That right there is good growth overall for the stock and for the company in general. You can see right there, they're looking at revenue of 5.8 to 6.4 billion. Overall, I thought it was a pretty decent earnings from AMD. It wasn't a very strong earnings by any means, but the growth is there, and that's what a lot of people are looking for. And I think that's what happened to the stock, okay? And speaking of the stock, a lot of price targets were cut. So yeah, you heard me right. A lot of these companies like Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, KeyBank, Morgan Stanley cut price targets. Lowered price target to 128, lowered price target from 160 to 140, 130 to 115, 137 to 125. Jefferies even lowered it, 145 to 130. A lot of price targets were cut. And the reason behind it is that they didn't see the growth as exponential as they've seen over the past couple quarters in this specific quarter, that I think we're going to have a huge turnaround if we blow out like they're expecting next quarter, okay? If we can hit our numbers even better next quarter, I think we reverse this and the price targets go the other way. But anyway, price targets were cut. The stock fell in after hours, as you can see here, quickly jumped back up, and then through the rest of pre-market this morning, it was pretty choppy, but actually started to rise until market open when we just took off. We took off from $98 all the way up to $108, and AMD, you know, you love the company or not, you love the CEO or not, but at the end of the day, this is an AI semiconductor chip making company, okay? I'll give you the Google definition if you want to hear it for myself. Is an American multinational semiconductor company based in Santa Clara, California that develops computer processors and related technologies for business and consumer markets, okay? AMD, I've loved the stock for a while, and if we pull out here, it's not the prettiest chart, okay? I will give you guys that. It's not the prettiest chart as of recent, but if we pull back to the past 5 years in the overall growth, this was a strong uptrending stock from 2019 when we were talking almost in single digits, right? We were talking the teens and 20s, all the way up to $160. Now, yes, $160 is a little extreme for this stock, but I definitely think that 130, 140 is where we should be right now. I think that at $100, you're getting a pretty good deal for an entry. It's stupidly cheap back here about a year ago, back when it was down in $60, $70 range. And you know what? This is a strong stock, like I said, that gives you a lot of long-term growth, but also in the short term is great to trade. You take a stock like this throughout the day that jumped up 10%. And if we just follow our simple moving average rule where you take a trade at the first green candle above the SMA line and you exit with the first red candle below the blue SMA line, you enter in early morning at around, let's say $100. Let's say we jump into $100.50. You ride this thing all the way up to the first red candle. You're holding in, for a couple hours in the morning till mid-morning where it starts to get choppy around 10:30, 11 o'clock. And then you finally get out with that first red candle below the blue SMA line right here at $105. That's a solid $5 gain on a long-term stock that on $5, that's roughly about 5-6%, okay? The stock continues to move higher, finish the day at $108. you really can't complain about this. This is a long-term stock that you're able to trade in the short term, and a short-term trading stock that you want to add on all the dips for the long term. That's how I see it as, and you know what? I think that the earnings was played out very overdramatic as to how this stock just dropped instantly. It did recover itself pretty well, but overall, it's been trading low. I mean, we're talking this thing's back under $100 for a while. We weren't seeing much momentum the past couple months, and that's not the way that this stock has been trading. You can see the different ranges that I have these in, and honestly, it's pretty accurate where these supports and resistances are, and then this becomes support, and this becomes resistance. So for a while, we've been downtrending into this area, and I probably should draw another support down here where we saw some bounces around $90 to $92 range. But in the long term, looking at AMD moving forward, what do we want to do with it, okay? Do you guys actually want to buy this? Because I think you do. This stock in the long term, if you're long-term investing, this is a stock that you want to get into. Maybe wait for a little bit of a pullback here, just because we jumped up about 15% the past couple days just alone. But the stock itself, I think, needs to just cool off a little bit, pull back down, and then I think that we rally towards the end of this year. I think we get back up to the teens and 120 area by the end of December. I think in another month and a half, you start to see this thing really rally. So you know what? Start adding some shares down here. Again, add shares over time on any types of dips, because this is a solid long-term name that is relatively cheap in the semiconductor space. I mean, you can go into, obviously, NVIDIA, which had one hell of a day, and I'll make a video on that as well. NVIDIA was up 4%, right? And not only that, 4% off of a pretty crappy past couple days. So the stock jumped from what, 407 all the way up to about 428, 430. We still got a lot more room to go back up to that 520 area and beyond. NVIDIA to $600 in 2024 is happening, and you will see a stock split with this one. But that's besides the point. We're going back to AMD on this one. But let me know what you guys think about AMD. I think that it's a solid pick for the long term, but it's great to trade in the short term. There's a lot of opportunities with this, and it's a growing, strong growth type stock that you really want in your portfolio, that's safe but also gives you 10% a day if you need it. Okay, this is a good stock to look into. Do your own due diligence, do your own research before entering into it, but I definitely highly recommend AMD as a stock to pick up. Guys, let me know what you think about this video in the comments below. Drop a like, hit that subscribe button if you're new here, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out, everybody.